The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Hey, there we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 108 of Dumbing It Down with Dave. Are you ready to dumb it down? I'm asking you seriously. Okay. I just want you to know that I'm serious. We're going to dumb it down a little bit. I don't know if you're going to get smarter. I don't know if you're going to learn anything. I don't know what's going to happen. For those of you that have never listened to Dumbing It Down with Dave before, let me just give you a quick rundown, not a long 10-minute explanation. For those of you who have been listening for a long time, you're like, oh, enough already. You explain this all the time. I never know I'm going to get a new listener. So, this is Dave Canyon. I'm in my, even though Alex Exum at the beginning of the show says that I'm in my Kia Rio, I'm in a Honda Fit, and I'm northbound on the New York State Thruway. I just got on the Thruway here at Saugerties. I'm just passing what they call the Malden Rest area, Malden Rest Stop. And I'm headed to work. I like to do 2 podcasts a week, half hour apart, half hour each, one on the way in and one on the way back. So different perspectives. Right now I'm pretty much fully rested. I haven't been beaten up by tractor trailers and dispatchers and receivers and my environment of landing gears that don't work. If you don't know what a landing gear is, it's the thing that takes the trailer, goes up and down. All these different things that I go through, my long 16-hour days, which are now really 14-hour days, because I do a podcast, YouTube channel called Dave's Fit Life, and I've taken 2 hours of commuting and I've turned it into 2 hours of exercise. So that's a whole nother story. You can check that out at YouTube at Dave's Fit Life. But anyway, so I'm a commuter. I commute to work, but I got tired of the commute, so I started, I would always listen to AM radio, and I would yell at the radio. I would talk to myself, and then I decided to do a podcast on the phone. So now I talk into my earphones here, which you might hear rubbing against my shirt, and I'll hold the cord here a little bit. And this is it. I'm on my way to work. I do a podcast, Dumbing It Down with Dave. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't always elevate, levels of consciousness and levels of intelligence, but I do my part. I just do what I do. And sometimes I speak for the average Dave. If I was a woman, I'd speak for the average Diane, maybe, but I speak for the average Dave. Anyway, thank you. If you're listening on Spreaker, I appreciate it. Thank you. If you can click like and leave a comment. I love when you engage with the show. My friend Linda from Awesome Insanity Surfers, she's always very engaging. Every episode she's heard that I've done, and every episode she engages. And my friend Mark, he engages. And but I don't want you to feel like you have to be a friend of mine. Anybody can engage. Anybody can share this podcast. You can share it digitally by hitting the share button. You can do it, put it on Facebook and Twitter. I'd appreciate that. If you could retweet, if you listened to the show through a tweet I put out, thank you very much. Yeah, this is all good stuff. And if you find it entertaining, informative, compelling, and entertaining. So you could, my friend Marky, but I don't want you to feel like if you're not a friend of mine, like I don't know who you are. Well, you can still listen to it, and you can still tell your friends, your lovers, your neighbors, your family, your enemies, anybody. Say, hey, listen, man, there's this guy. He drives his car to work, to and from work, and he does a podcast in his car while he's driving. I used to refer to this podcast as the fastest podcast on earth. So legally right now, not legally, but technically, right now I'm going, it looks like I got the cruise control on at 76 miles an hour. Yeah, maybe 77. That's pretty safe on the New York State Thruway. Pretty much everybody's doing 80 and more. So, if I'm doing 78, I'm not going to get a ticket probably. And you know what, let's do a mileage report. I haven't done a mileage report in a long time. I have on my Honda Fit, it's I don't even know, is it a 2008? I think it's a 2008 Honda Fit. I think so. Could be 2009, but let's go with 2008 Honda Fit. And some of you might be thinking, you don't know what year car you have? You know what? I also don't even know what the license plate is. Do you know what your license plate is? Just stop for a second. Don't look. Do you know what your license plate is? Unless you have a vanity plate, which I don't have. I'll probably get one in the future that says dumb. I don't know if that's a good idea, though. But maybe I'll just get one that says dumb. All right. Or dumbing. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Dumb is probably better. Okay. I could do DIDWD, which is Dumbing It Down with Dave, but nobody would know what that is, DIDWD. But I'd probably be the only one in the country, definitely New York State, that would have DIDWD. All right. So my mileage report is 195,684. 195,684 miles on my Honda Fit, and it's running great. It's running great. So there you go. Maybe next week, or maybe on the way home. I'm not going to have that many more miles, but maybe that's what I used to do with the Kia Rio. Kia Rio, I used to do the mileage report every podcast because I was doing 600 miles a week. So it was interesting to listen to the miles, at least to me, how much older the Kia got as I was using it. And I wasn't just using it for commuting. I was using it for everything. I was really using it for a lot. Anyway, so let's move on. Did I thank Alex Exum at the top of the show? Thank you, Alex Exum. Appreciate it. Doing the opening intro there, alexexum.com. By the way, I'm under no obligation to mention Alex's name, but he did such a great show, a great job on the intro, that I like to plug people. I'm very altruistic that way. That's why I mentioned Awesome Insanity Surfers from Linda. And if my friend Mark had a podcast, which maybe one day he will, maybe one day he'll do it with me, maybe he'll do a solo one, that's good. I support that. I know his son does a wrestling thing on YouTube. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but he does a wrestling thing. I would mention that if I could remember it. Alex Exum does live talk on Tuesday nights. So there you go. He also does the Exum Experience. I don't know if he's done a podcast in a while with that, but by the time you listen to this, he might have done 2 or 3. Who knows? So check out the Exum Experience. I got my friend Jared, does the Ho-Ho Show. I don't know when's the last time he's heard Dumbing It Down with Dave, but I know that I checked in the other day to the Ho-Ho Show. It's also a visual. So they do that on YouTube, and they do it on I don't know how many other video platforms. It's unbelievable. And by the way, I'm syndicated. I'm syndicated on Mile High Radio, milehiradio.com, milehiradio.com. So it's not like Mile High, like high as a kite. It's, even though they're out there in Denver somewhere, it's Mile High, H-I like hello, milehiradio.com. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Bobby, for bringing me to milehiradio.com. And that's an internet radio station where you can listen to my show on Mondays. But you're listening to this now. So I'm always thinking of why would I plug Mile High Radio on my podcast? If you're listening to it, then you're listening to it now. So why would you want to re-listen to this on Mondays at 11? Well, maybe if you're at your desk and you're you know what? I don't really feel like going to iTunes where you can find me. I don't feel like going to Spreaker. So I'll go to Mile High Radio. I don't know. I don't know how people do these things. Whatever you decide is fine with me. milehiradio.com. milehiradio.com. So, what is this saying here? Okay, I hit the wrong button. All right, there we go. All right, we're only 8 minutes in. That's good. So, I'm on the thruway. I'm headed to work. It's a beautiful day. It's a little cold, but it's sunny. And by the way, I mentioned this the other day. I hope you enjoyed episode 106. 106 was how to buy a sex shed. Did you miss that one? I thought that was a good one. 106, how to buy a sex shed. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very funny. I thought it was compelling. I thought it was informative. And I thought overall it was quite entertaining. David, you're a braggart. You shouldn't be saying those things. Shouldn't be, no, I'm just saying. I'm proud of it. I think it was good. If it wasn't good, I would admit it. And I have admitted to a lot of bad podcasts. I said, that one was a good one. And in fact, I know that one day, maybe I won't do it, but I could, and I should probably, I feel like I should, go back and start deleting, the ones I didn't like. Save them somewhere so they're not lost forever. And I don't know if they're salvageable in some way. Maybe I can edit them down. Some of them are too long. None of them are too short. There's one thing I know. None of them are too short. But there's a few long ones. When I was going through my experimental stage, trying to figure out where I am in the length world. I wasn't affected by anything. Like people saying, hey, it should only be a half hour. Hey, it should be 45 minutes. Hey, I don't care about all that. But it doesn't. All I know is that Spreaker limits me to 45 minutes. So that's the longest with the package I have. That's the longest I can go at any one time. I can do as many podcasts as I want, except I just, for some reason, they keep me to 45 minutes. So there you go. So what was 107? 101, episode 107 was Dear Mark, my friend, I'm sorry. There you go. I apologize to my friend Mark because I made a comment in episode 106 that none of my friends listen to the podcast, which is not true because he's one of my friends, and he does listen, and he supports it. So there you go. No caveats, no nothing. He does. He listens to it. There you go. Okay. And I'm sure he's going to say to me tonight, or sometime he goes, every time you say no caveats, that's the caveat. The fact that you actually have to say there's no caveats. And I'm not. There's no caveats. Because usually when I say something, that comes with a but, but I could do that with everything in the world. Everything could be like, well, it's a beautiful day, but it's a little cold, whatever. I can do that with everything. Can you do that with everything? I bet you can. I bet I don't know what in the world exists that doesn't have a caveat. We go, oh yeah, it's a beautiful house, but I got to pay the mortgage. Oh yeah, that was a really nice place that we went to, but it was expensive. But it was a long drive. But we had to take off our shoes. Whatever. There's always like a caveat. Always. As far as I'm concerned, there's always a caveat. I know that in episode 106, was it? Or maybe 107, I was mentioning the Loop-de-Loop. Yeah, the Sex Shed show was originally going to be titled, If No One's Listening, Are You Talking? Technically, right? Like, that thing with the bear. If a bear is in the woods and there's no trees to pee on, does he find a place to poop? Or whatever that saying is. So, I was saying, if nobody's listening, are you really talking? And then somehow I decided, it's a better title, How to Buy a Sex Shed. I figured that would really get people to pay attention, and I'm not exactly sure that worked. I'm not really sure, the title of How to Buy a Sex Shed is really pulling people in. I don't know. Whatever, I don't really care. I don't do this podcast for ratings. I don't do this for all that. I do it because otherwise I sit here and I listen to classical music or I listen to talk radio. It's, I listen to whoever and they're talking about the presidency and they'll talk about the Mueller report, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, enough already. What am I going to do about it? What does it do? What good does it do me to hear any of this? To be informed, to be an informed citizen? You know what? I feel like I've been informed all my life. And everything that informs me disappoints me. Everything that informs me, does not make me happy. I've said this in other episodes. I don't know that anybody gets together and talks politics and walks out of, at the end of their, let's say you're having lunch or you're at some social gathering. You don't walk out and go, whoo, man, that was great, man. Whoo, we talked politics. We talked about the presidency. We talked about, we talked about Lindsey Graham. We talked about McCain. We talked about Mueller. Oh, that was so great. I'm so excited. Oh, I feel so young and energetic. I just want to talk politics some more. I love when people get angry. I love when people fight. I love when they argue. I love debate. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's so great. Can we do this again? Is there any way we can just always be talking politics? Because it makes me feel younger. I want to go out, now I want to have sex. I want to drink wine. I want to be, I want to see these people all the time and do this all the time. Who does that? I don't know how people do it. I don't know how these guys do talk radio and talk about politics 3 hours a day, like Sean Hannity, who I've listened to a lot. I mean, as much as I may agree with him on a lot of things, and some things I don't agree with him, but to do that every day for 3 hours, and then he does it at night on a television show. I mean, I don't know. I know he's making a lot of money, but at some point, I mean, really, when's enough money already? And don't you want to talk about a movie you saw? Don't you want to talk about life? Don't you want to make I know he feels like he's making an impact. And by the way, this isn't an anti-Hannity thing. I'm just saying, it's a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. And as much as I might repeat myself in this show, I don't say the same thing over and over. Yeah, I do explain the show at the top of the hour. I do give a lot of props to Alex Exum and then Linda for Awesome Insanity Surfers. And of course, then I did the mileage report. I used to mention Comedy Pipe. All the time. Mike and the boys over there, anywhere you are in the world, if it's Wednesday and it's 8 p.m. on the East Coast, I think it's still 8 o'clock in the East Coast, even with daylight savings time, it's still Wednesdays at 8, I'm pretty sure. And there's Comedy Pipe Dream. The name of the show is Pipe Dream. I haven't given them a plug in a long time. And that's fine, because I used to give them a plug every week, and they would butcher my show. When they talk about it, they would do this thing where they didn't know who I was, and they would butcher it. And you know what? I don't think I've gotten a bump. I don't know if I've gotten one viewer or one listener from Pipe Dream, but I don't do it for that reason. I'm more than happy to plug Comedy Pipe because I like what Mike's doing. Mike's a pioneer out there in Schenectady, New York, doing his thing, just sticking up the old, antenna. There's no antenna; it's all internet. But you know what I'm saying? He sticks up the antenna and he broadcasts from his basement with his buddies. That's great. And they're always interviewing some comedian. Sometimes it's an open micer, and sometimes it's a guy who gets gigs. And I think they had a call-in guest like once or twice. And, they're having fun. That's the beauty of this. And it's recorded. He's up to like episode almost 300 now. Maybe he's past 300. I don't even remember. I've done this show 2 or 3 times. It's a good show. It's good enough. There you go. You want to do a podcast? Write me an email, send me a tweet, whatever. I'll tell you how to do a podcast. It's really simple. It's very, very simple now to record yourself and broadcast it to the world. I can't guarantee you the world will listen, but I can guarantee you'd have the opportunity to do it. All right, so there you go. There's a whole bunch of stuff there I've mentioned. Dave, you're not really topic-driven today. You're not really doing anything topic-driven. Like, what's your thing this week? Listen, here's what my thing is this week. My thing is, I'm on my way to work. I'm not encumbered right now by things. I can tell you about my father. He called me a couple times this week. Did you know my father was deaf? Yeah, he calls me through an interpreter. This is how it works. It's called the Sorensen. The Sorensen. Yes, my father's been deaf all his life. Don't feel bad for me. It's not that big of a deal. It's a horrible thing, really, but it's not that big of a deal in terms of this conversation. My mother is deaf as well. They've both been deaf basically their whole life. They've both been deaf my whole life, which, nobody would pick that. Nobody would suggest that. Hey, you know what you should do? You should have deaf parents. Wouldn't that be great if you could be born to deaf parents so you could just be a drummer in a band or a guitarist? No, it doesn't work that way. There's a lot of negatives, mostly negatives to the whole thing. Doesn't it make you stronger? No, it doesn't. Does it make your senses better? No, it doesn't. I don't have super smelling power. In fact, I have no smelling. I can't smell at all. I'm actually deaf in my nose. I'm blind in my nose. I have no sense of smell. But what about them, Dave? Yeah, they can smell probably a little bit more than the other people, but it's not like they're puppies. It's not like, not puppies. They're not like, search and rescue dogs where they're looking for carcasses, dead people or explosives or drugs. It's not like that. They don't have great eyesight. Well, first of all, they're both like 82 now. So even if they did, they'd be retired. If they were those types of animals, they'd be retired. If my parents were search dogs right now, they'd be retired. And if they were comfort dogs, they'd be retired. Oh, comfort dogs. I can't imagine that. All right, where are we in this time thing here? 18 minutes? Yeah, it looks like 18 minutes. Let's do a breather break. We'll get back to my parents. And you know what? I think I was supposed to tell you about the loop-de-loop that I do at the toll booth in episode 106. I think I got a little distracted. I'm pretty sure I got distracted. And then I started to tell you about the loop-de-loop in episode 107, and then I forgot. Or I ran out of time. I think I was starting to tell you something, and then I ran out of time. So I'll try to get to that, but let's do a breather break, all right? We'll take what's a breather break, you say? You never listened to the show before? Well, this is what I do. And by the way, if you do listen to the show, I hope you're participating in these breather breaks. It's nice. I could do a commercial. I don't have anything to sell. I could do a commercial for Awesome Insanity Surfers. I could do a commercial for Mile High Radio, but I've already done that. I could do a commercial for Pipe Dreams. I could do a commercial for anybody, all right? Whatever. Give me a copy. I'll read it. You want to pay me? That'd be nice too. You want to swap? You want me to advertise you and you advertise me? I do that all the time. Have I gotten a bump from anything? Not really. What's a bump, Dave? Well, what a bump is you say something, on your show for somebody, and then all of a sudden they go, oh, wait a minute, Dave has got this huge audience, and he mentioned my show, And now I see in my statistics, I got 20 extra people on this particular day, or whatever. Some sort of growth spurt. I've gotten that from nobody, as far as I know. It's just been a slow, steady, decline right from day one. That's what it's been. I started off with 5 viewers. I know 2 years later, I'm down to Linda and Mark. And I think Lynn listens from milehighradio.com, milehighradio.com. So there you go. I'm down to 3. It's taken me 2 years. I've whittled it down. All right. How do you grow a very small, dedicated audience? You start with 5 people, and then you work your way down to 3 that seem to listen every week for some reason. All right, there you go. Let's breathe. 3 deep breaths, okay? And then each breath we hold it, and then you let it go. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Try to hold it, and each breath gets deeper and deeper. All right? See how you feel. I don't have commercials, so let's breathe. That's what I say. Let's break it up with a breather. Oh, yeah, then there's also my buddy Bobby, which I think he stopped listening a long time ago. He hasn't said word one to me in weeks about my shows. You know how you know when people are listening? Because they say something to you. Oh, listen, I heard the other day you mentioned something. You didn't say something or whatever. Then you go, oh, yeah, sure, thank you. Then you know that they're listening. But I got people that call me all the time. They never, I'm not going to go down that road with the friends. But it's interesting that they are your friend. And they don't go, oh, I heard the other day you said blah, blah, blah. Or I was talking to Joe, your other friend, and he was listening, and he said, hey, you talked about the loop-de-loop. You never got to it. Yeah, well, okay. Or Dave, I hear you do this breather break. That's interesting. It's interesting how many people I know that may or may not be my friend. Most likely not my friend, but it's, or their acquaintances, or technically, according to Merriam-Webster, they are my friend. But yet they never say anything. Oh, by the way, like an email, like a tweet, like, hey, like a text, hey, I was listening. I don't get that. I never get that, hey, I was listening, But I do that. I do that to a lot of people. Hey, I like that thing you did with the fish. Hey, I like that thing you did with the space character. Hey, I like, whatever. I do it all the time. Not that hard. It's called being nice, right? Being gracious, right? You put yourself out there a little bit. You extend yourself. It's not like an olive branch because she's not at war, right? An olive branch is supposed to mean peace. It's like, hey, I'm paying attention a little bit. For now, at this moment in time. Does it make you happy? It should, because I took an effort. I listened to what you had to say. I watched what you did. You were wrestling this guy on a trampoline. Good for you. Hey, I did this thing. All right, good for you. See, I pay attention. I don't get that. I don't get a lot of people doing that. But I get the same couple of people all the time, which is fine. No negatives there. I'm happy. All right? I'm going to sign right now on the dotted line. I'm signing on the virtual dotted line. I'm doing it. I'm holding my earplugs with the right hand so it doesn't rub against my shirt. I'm driving the car. And with my left hand, because I'm a lefty, I'm virtually signing the piece of paper. I, Dave Canyon, hereby sign on the dotted line that for the rest of my life, my show will only be listened to by Linda, Lynn, and Mark. That's it. 3 people. Boom. Dave. For the rest of my life. That's it. Okay. Well, it's done. I put it out there. Everything over 3 is great, right? I'm happy with you 3. That's it. Whatever. Who cares? All right. 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Deeper each successive breath. And enjoy. All right? Try not to pass out. All right, here we go. Do a test. Oh, mine is good this morning. Okay, here we go. No dairy. That's why. I got dairy on my dashboard right now. That's a sentence you don't hear in a lot of podcasts. I have dairy on my dashboard. Because I bought 2 pizzas, which have nothing to do with Dave's Fit Life and being fit. I bought 2 pizzas at the Speedway gas station, and I've yet to eat them. Because for some reason, I put 2 pizzas on my dashboard, and I said, hey, you know what I'm going to do now? Do a podcast. But I don't want to eat during it because I'll choke, and you don't want to hear me eating. I did that 1 or 2 episodes ago, and people don't like that. You don't want to hear me chewing. All right, so here we go. 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And if I have time after this, I'll explain the loop-de-loop. I forgot to explain it to you. Maybe I'll get to it. All right, here we go. Ready? Go. All right, that was pretty good. First one is the hardest because you're not really used to it. Don't get upset. You okay? You look a little lopsided there. All right, straighten up. All right, get yourself together. Here it goes. The second one. This is usually a very good one. Ready? Go. All right. Oof. That was good. It hurt me a little bit. I don't think my deep breaths are as deep this week as they were last week or the other day, but They're good. It's good enough, guys. Whatever you're doing, you're breathing. All right, here you go. Last and third one. Hold it. Make it inhale as much as you can. Hold it for as long as you can, and then make it hurt, and then exhale. Try to get that rib cage to expand. Ready? Go. All right, there you go. 3 breaths, a breather break. We took a break. We took a breather break. That was sponsored by Air. Anywhere you are in the world, if there's air and it's free and it's clean, you should breathe it. You should appreciate it. If you were a miner, not a miner, M-I-N-O-R, little person, if you were a coal miner and you were trapped and all you wanted was to breathe, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so appreciative. I wish I was in a Honda Fit or a Kia Rio going down the road breathing. So there you go. Or sitting by in my cubicle or whatever I'm doing, out there farming or, preaching to the choir, whatever you're doing. You appreciate air. All right, that was brought to you by Air. Anywhere you are in the world, if there's air and it's free and clean, you should be breathing it. All right. And you know what? If I had time for a beverage break, we could take a beverage break, and you could appreciate drinking. I drink a lot of water. I have a lot of water in my cooler. All right, so how much time do we have left? I'm thinking about getting to that definition of a loop-de-loop. 26 minutes. 26 minutes and 15 seconds. All right, wait a minute. Is that 28? I can't. Note to self, stop wearing your glasses while you're doing a podcast, because the glare is killing me. It looks like 26. All right. Yeah, 26. I can see it now. The glare a car just passed me on the left, took away the glare. All right. Because the sun is setting in the west as I'm headed north. That's how you know I'm telling the truth. The glares. All right. So 26 and a half minutes. I have 3.5 minutes that I have to tell you the story of the loop-de-loop. I'm not sure if it's a 3.5 minute story. I hate to disappoint you because I've been teasing this loop-de-loop story, and 3.5 minutes. That means I got to leave 30 seconds at the end. It gives 3 minutes. Can I tell the story in 3 minutes? I'm not really sure. But now that I've been talking about it, I think we're down to 2.5 minutes. So let me see what I can tell you. I think I told you that when I moved up here 25, 30 years ago, we used to go around, my wife and I, to all these different stores, shopping, whatever we would do, just leading a normal life. And I would take these things, the home buyer's guide, the apartment rental guide, the parenting guide, even though we didn't have a child at the time, all these different flyers for events that were happening. Hey, this is going on, that's going on, whatever. And I would have this collection of stuff. And my wife would sometimes drive. I'm not one of those husbands that has to drive. I'm not a control freak. So I would read it. She, at first it was kind of cute. Well, she didn't care, But the problem is I don't get rid of a lot of stuff because I'm a hoarder. Like I'll hold on to it. It'll sit on the kitchen table. And then 2 weeks later she'll say to me, hey, what are you doing with that? I go, I don't know. I'm holding on to it. Why? Why are you holding on to this? You're not going to buy a home. We already have a home. I go, I know, but, most often I'm looking to buy a car. So I'll have the car buying guide. And she'll go, listen, we're not buying a car. Why don't you just pull out the pages of the cars you like if you think you might buy a car, and then, hold on to that. But throw away the rest of the magazine. So I agree to that, and that's one of the things that I do as far as being a hoarder, is that there are certain things I will keep and certain things I will throw out, but I'm usually more in the accumulation mode than I am in the whatever's the opposite of accumulation, which now that I think about it, I don't know. What is the opposite of accumulate? What is the opposite of that? I don't know. Accumulate. Disposalate. I don't know. What's sanitate? What's the word? How do you accumulate is to add. So what's the word for subtract? Subtractorate. It's probably not even an 8 word. I'm not really sure. Well, anyway, that's a little bit of homework. We can all do our part during the week to look it up and find out what is the opposite of accumulate. I'm sure there's an opposite book. You go on the internet, you look up opposite of accumulate. Diversify, distribute. I don't know. I'm a little bit hooked on that. Well, anyway, listen. I can't tell you the rest of the story, but I will tell you this. I had a decent week. I'm feeling good, obviously, because I slept. I'm showered. I'm shaved. My car is prepared. I'm ready to work out this week for Dave's Fit Life. I have my 2 slices of pizza that I'm going to enjoy right now, and a soda. I got my Diet Max. I'm about 10 miles from work. All right. So let's do the goodbyes. Let's do the 8 goodbyes, the 8 G's. All right. And we'll talk about it next episode in 109. Goodbye, good day, good night, good luck, good riddance, good rats, Godspeed, and great skills. Thanks for listening, folks. Hope you enjoyed this show. I appreciate my friends tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.